Well, Trump is trying to make the race about Joe Biden, but to a large extent, he's really running against the coronavirus. I think if the U.S. doesn't turn a corner right now on COVID-19, it's hard to see anything else the president doing, compensating for that failure. Increasingly, though, Trump seems to be ignoring the pandemic in his political communications. So he hasn't held regular task force meetings. And to the extent that he talks about COVID-19, he largely describes an optimism about curbing the virus that doesn't really square with the depressing data that we see being released by the CDC. So I think this election will mostly be a referendum on Trump, and the White House's failure to get COVID-19 under control is certainly part of that record. So that's what's pulling him down right now.
But do President Trump's staunch supporters actually, are they actually critical of his handling of the pandemic? What's been fairly remarkable about President Trump's support is how unrelenting it is. His supporters are very committed. Are you actually seeing glimpses of his, his steady supporters actually looking away from President Trump at this stage?
Well, Trump certainly makes a habit of criticizing the polls, and he often insists, sometimes without evidence, that he has internal numbers showing that he's doing much better than experts predict. And of course, a big part of that is his loyal base. It's certainly the case that he has a lot of enthusiasm among 30% or so of Americans. But I think it's not just the top line numbers of the president versus Joe Biden that should worry him. A recent NBC Wall Street Journal poll, for example, found that 72% of U.S. voters think the country is moving in the wrong direction. That is a striking figure, and it certainly comprises a number of Republicans. So Trump's margins also in securing some of these large majorities that are traditional Republican voters, white males, and particularly whites without college degrees, some of that support also seems to be receding. So I think some of these underlying trends reflect growing discontent with the president in terms of his governance.